Welcome again to my YouTube channel. This is my second attempt on today to video record this. My first attempt, I couldn't save it. My system crashed. So challenging. Interestingly enough, not that annoying. Interestingly enough, I have enough, not only motivation, but it's something, energy or resources to do it again, despite it's quite late and I should go to bed. But okay, I'll start by reading from the same book as before, the 7-point mind training, written by Wallace. Today I'll be reading the second subchapter of the second chapter. The second chapter refers to the second point of the 7-point mind training, and the subchapter title is "Consider the World as Dreamlike." With this verse, the author enters into the meditation and the unfolding of the mystery. Consider the world as if it were a dream. The commentary explains that this refers to the apprehended world of phenomena, so what we perceive. In other words, start from what you observe and regard it as being dreamlike. Makes sense from the psychotherapeutical perspective to focus on something where you would think the cause lies, instead of focusing on your symptoms, focus on the cause. I apologize, it's late and I'm tired. I'm looking now over the Owens Valley, and the sky is a shade of purple and pink. In the dusk, the sage grows darker, and the mountains across the valley also grow dark. These are the objects, the environment, that I observe. What does dreamlike mean here? If we understand it superficially to mean unreal or dreamy in a vague, unfocused sense, we miss the whole point. So it's not dreamy in a vague sense. It's not unreal or dreamy. So dreamlike doesn't mean unreal. So it's real. It's dreamlike, but it's real. So everything happens to us. In a dream, we perceive and we react as if everything is real, but it's actually a dream. Other analogies may serve as well. The apprehended world is compared to a mirage, a magical illusion, an echo of something else, and we're looking for that something else, that underlying reality, or a reflection in a mirror. So if we are attending to the reflection, then we're losing from our side the person of which the reflection belongs to, or the reflection depicts. But a dream is especially apt. Think back to an actual dream, a vivid one. While we dream, the events in the dream seem really to be happening. We find ourselves on other continent, a conversation takes place, we are punished or rewarded, perhaps even die. Anything can happen, all the appearances are there, but in spite of appearances, no such events are occurring, because it's in a dream. Okay, a woman dreams that she gives birth to a child, the child grows up, then is killed, and the woman grieves. She has experienced the whole process, but wakes up to recognize that there was no birth, no child, no death. In this sense, phenomena are dreamlike. There is no substantial reality that accords with appearances. Um, Substantial reality that accords with our knowledge of the world at this present moment. And he calls them appearances. Okay. We observe phenomena as being. Sorry. We observe phenomena as being far more concrete and tangible than in fact they are. And this is misleading. It occurs because of the mental process of reification. Seshibwa, which I don't know who this person is, so Seshibwa explains that there is no entity apart from mind that is anything more than a deceptive appearance to the mind. So everything is mind. Whatever we see as being separate from our mind is only acting as a deception to our mind. Nothing exists independently of consciousness or mental designation. At first glance, this looks like idealism and denial of external reality, which it does. Everything is just of the stuff of the mind, which again seems like this is what he is lobbying for. At this point, those of us grounded in the scientific view should be raising our eyebrows. Can we seriously accept that there is no substantial reality? Einstein said that the belief in an external world existing in its own right and following natural laws is fundamental to all science. Are we now throwing out the foundation underlying of Western sciences? In a sense, we are. Should we throw that away or should we integrate? Some of the most recent research in physics, especially in fundamental areas such as quantum mechanics and relativity, severely questions the traditional notion of real world behind the veil of appearances and perceptions. The classical paradigm of atoms bouncing off each other in absolute time and space is rejected, at least when physicists are thinking most critically. Unfortunately, this insight has had very little impact on the other sciences, but physicists who are concerned with the fundamental reality of physics and not simply the practical applications cannot scoff at the philosophical questions. Reality presents no clear demarcations between science and philosophy, and for those few physicists concerned with the foundations of their science, the question of mind becomes more and more important. Many have come to the conclusion that the world beyond appearances is beyond imagination, grasped only through mathematics, and such things are quantitative and such things as quantitative patterns. Thus, even through physics we could build a strong case that the world of absolute space and time as we experience it with our senses is an illusion. In the Madhyamaka view, I never heard of it before. So in the Madhyamaka view of Buddhism, just as in physics, when the author here urges us to look at phenomena as dreamlike and to question reality, he assumes that we already have some theoretical foundation for the inquiry. If we introduce this practice into daily life as we are out walking, for instance, or speaking with other people, we should not brainwashing ourselves with woolly notions of a dreamlike world. Rather, we should be working from an understanding that phenomena do not exist in the manner in which they appear. So this is the dreamlike. So they exist, but not in the matter that they appear, or not in the matter that we are perceiving them. An understanding of the theory of Madhyamaka that an understanding of the theory of Madhyamaka that is beyond of the scope of this text, but can be summarized in the ways in which phenomena do exist as dependently related events. So, first point to this theory idea. So, any phenomena that we identify, a tree, an electron, a galaxy, a person, any apprehended object, depends for its existence of our mental designation of it. So, the designation of electron depends on our mental, I would say, linguistic designation of it. They depend. Without such designation, the phenomena would not exist, because the language cuts off from the phenomenological continuum of reality. It cuts out, extracts, not random patterns, but some patterns that they are close to each other in time and space, and we think of them as being independent, being a unity in itself, and we do this through language and logic and ration. All phenomena that participate in natural laws affecting other entities and themselves arising as effects depend for their existence on the causal conditions that gave rise to them. For example, the sprout is dependent upon the seed, the moisture, and the warmth that gave rise to it. And the third point, for any entity we can identify certain attributes, its component parts, facets, or qualities. The entity depends for its existence on these attributes and would not exist apart from them. At the same time, it is neither equivalent to any of these attributes individually, nor to their sum total, nor does it truly exist apart from those attributes. Thus, phenomena exist as dependently related events, but they do not appear in that way. They appear independent from each other, but they are actually dependently related events. When I look at the mountain across the valley, do I see that its existence depends on its attributes? Do I perceive that existence of the mountain depends on the mental designation of it? No. And depends also on its own causes and conditions? On its own causes and conditions. So does the mountain depend on the causes that created the mountain, like the magma erupting, creating a volcano, or the tectonic plates grinding into each other and creating the mountains, or I would say the existence of the mountain depends on those causes. And what about conditions? The conditions, I don't know what are the conditions. Its height, its composition, the minerals that is made of, the temperature, the air pressure. I'm tempted to say yes, but apparently Alan says no. The mountain appears to exist entirely in its own right, resting there, utterly self-sufficient. So, the mountain is self-sufficient. The mountain is self-sufficient. Doesn't depend on anything else, not on the causes, not on the conditions. And that is an illusion. So, the mountain is not self-sufficient. That's an illusion. In that sense, the mountain does not exist as it appears. And in that sense, the mountain is dreamlike. This is true of all the environment and also of our bodies. So I'm thinking, when I have a trauma, and if I keep thinking of the symptoms, which is, let's say, arguing with someone, trying to find the best argument against that person would solve the issue, or the issue might lie on some fragile narcissism that needs to be cured, needs to be treated, which is the underlying reality, which is so the conflict, the argument is actually the manifestation. The argument I'm producing in my discussion with another person is just a manifestation of an underlying condition. So the argument is the mountain, and the underlying condition is that phenomenological continuum. Okay, that's about it with this subchapter for today. I have one more thing to touch upon. I was listening one of my favorite podcasts at the moment, Next Level Soul. It's run by Alex Ferrara, and he was interviewing a near-death experiencer, and this experiencer went through obviously had a near-death experience, multiple actually, but he is also a contemplative and a meditator. And he said something really interesting. He said that when he achieved that stillness, which I call vibrant stillness, to me that was the goal, to achieve that. But he came with an insight for me, and he said, from that state I start talking to the universe, asking the universe. Apparently that's a better state that opens you up to this kind of communication. So for him, it's a means to an end, but for me it was the end there. So I would suggest today and I would suggest to everyone to try to meditate maybe longer, in order to attempt to experience that kind of dialogue with the universe, with what else is there beyond what we think our boundaries are. So because of this, today I invite you to meditate for 15 minutes. If you want to join me, I'll be very, very happy that I have your company. If you have something else to do, you are welcome to do that. For everyone else, just find a relaxing position. I'm gonna start the timer, and we have 15 minutes from now on. the mountain roofs. 95% of my meditation was, wow, very challenging. I started off realizing that it was like a movement, like a dynamic. In my head, it was like this movement going that way, going that way, going that way. I don't know. And with each iteration, another thought. I could see other different images regarding different moments or activities in my life, and I realized how disconnected the vibration, the movement at the level of my head to the movement at the level of my body, how different they were, how dissociated they were. And then as I went ahead with the meditation, I realized that the stillness comes came at this time from my legs upwards. And I think the last part that actually